Just to get started, it'd be great maybe to get a little bit of perspective from you and just sort of share with the audience a little bit about Oracle Cloud VMware solution, what it is, and maybe a little bit about how it came to be and some of the value that we're offering.
Oracle Cloud VMware solution is the way in which Oracle and VMware work together to bring VMware and more specifically kind of vSphere and the accompanying technology to our joint customers on top of Oracle Cloud infrastructure. The motivating factor behind how we architected OCVS was how do we actually provide something that really solves customers' needs and does so in a way that is very easy for them to use. We actually made it so that OCVS can run completely in a customer's tenancy. And by doing so, the customer gets full root access to the entire VMware environment. But it fundamentally relies on the fact that at Oracle, we can present a virtualized layer 2 networking. What this ends up giving customers is the ability to deploy VMware on top of OCI exactly as they do on premise. And the reason we wanted to architect OCVS that way was such that customers can interact and deal with VMware on OCI exactly the same way they do on-prem. So you can decide what version you want to install, how you want to patch and upgrade it, and you can use all of the same management tools and operational skills that you have on-premise in the cloud as well.
It's been a fantastic partnership with you and your team as we've worked together to really enable that joint solution on top of it, as you described, really that enterprise class Oracle platform.
As many customers are moving to the cloud, how do you think about helping them with that transition, and what do you see as the key use cases that VMware can help those customers with as they move to the cloud?
Yeah, great question. So I think if you look at the heart of the VMware cloud strategy, right, it's really sort of we describe as a multi-cloud strategy, right? And one of the core tenets of that strategy is customer choice. What we really want to do is help those customers accelerate their path to modernization, right? Accelerate their path to application modernization and accelerate their journey to cloud modernization.
Completely agree. I mean, the one thing I hear from a lot of customers, VMware is being chosen exactly for the reasons you talked about around multi-cloud. And it's not just multi-cloud at the VM layer, right? Or at the networking layer. It's multi-cloud at, well, I need a platform that I can standardize on for containers and for orchestration and for, how I do CI/CD and kind of a new DevOps paradigm. I know that you guys have been doing a lot of investments around there. Part of that is related to Tanzu, but could you tell me more about how that's going and how customers should think about using that when they're migrating to the cloud?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really excited about exactly the things that you sort of articulated there. One part of that is, hey, how do I get to the cloud more quickly? And we think we have a very compelling solution to enable that, as we talked about. But then once I'm sort of there, how do I modernize those environments? How do I create new applications and services? We're bringing together a really powerful set of tools between VMware and Oracle that help facilitate that. So on the VMware side, as you referenced, we're making a big investment in Tanzu. And the way you can think about Tanzu is kind of a simple way at two layers, right? At one layer, we're basically integrating containers and Kubernetes natively into the VMware Cloud Platform. And so what that means for our customers is for the developer, they look down, they see Kubernetes clusters, industry standard. But for the IT team, they've got a single platform that they're using to manage both their VMs, their containers, and Kubernetes. And we are able to provide to them that rich set of enterprise class capabilities in the core VMware infrastructure stack to support those containerized and Kubernetes environments. So for a customer, I might have an existing application that's running in some vSphere-based VMs. I might want to take part of that and carve it off and move it to a microservices architecture running in a container. I might want to add some new capabilities with some new services. Maybe in conjunction with that, I want to leverage some of the native Oracle services. And we can bring all those things together in a very integrated way for the customer that allows them to kind of expand the capabilities of that application in a very seamless way for the development team, but in a very consistent, operationally secure, resilient, high performance way for the IT team that's responsible for operating that environment.
It's easy with things like Kubernetes and containers to think that the underlying infrastructure doesn't matter, but at least based on my experience, is it does matter, especially when it comes to things like the networking layer. And so I think the fact that you have such an amazing networking layer within SX that you can then layer Tanzu on top of provides a seamless experience, regardless of whether you're running, in a rack of servers on premise or in any cloud provider. And I think that's very valuable in this kind of model of being able to move workloads around. I've been talking to a lot of customers, and one of our customers, for example, is Intel, which is a large ENTEL, a large South American telecommunications provider. And without OCVS, these customers just wouldn't be able to get out of their own data centers. So customers like Intel, they find themselves where, hey, I've got a footprint. I really want to be able to move to the cloud. And through the power of VMware and OCVS, we're actually able to move their entire estate into the cloud in a way that just wasn't possible before. Another area where we're seeing a lot of success is really around the hybrid scenario, where customer has workloads that they want to move, but they have custom hardware, they have certain things they can't move, and VMware, via not just the platform itself, but also through functionality like HCX and being able to live migrate VMs and move that around, provides an outstanding platform to actually support these hybrid workloads and being able to move things where they need to go around the cloud. Are there other scenarios besides that you think customers should be thinking about with VMware?
Yeah, I think those are two great ones. One thing I've seen customers look to OCVS to take advantage of, and maybe an example of this is Altair, which is a US-based high-tech leader in product design, is using OCVS as a sort of a compatible extension to their existing VMware-based data center environment, specifically for dev test workloads for kind of new applications that they're looking at building. So in their case, what they were able to do is very rapidly spin up additional OCVS capacity in OCI in a matter of hours, if not minutes, right? And then use that environment for development and test of new applications and new services that is compatible with the way they're running their applications in their own data center. And so it sort of just gives them this speed and agility. And at the end of the day, look, they have a lot of flexibility, right? They could take those new things that they've developed in OCVS, they could scale them out rapidly in OCDS if that makes sense, and run them over a long period of time. If they want some of those applications, they might want to migrate into their own data centers to run in a sustained way over some period of time as well. They could leverage that environment for disaster recovery. Give this customer a lot of flexibility in sort of that hybrid environment, specifically for a dev test use case.
No, I completely agree that being able to spin up development and test workloads in the cloud, but then maybe you have a bunch of production workloads on premise, and now you don't have to have that stuff running all the time. And part of what I think is really nice about OCVS, what we are coming out with, is the ability to have smaller clusters, the ability to have different flexible payment models, where you can have a pay-as-you-go option, but you can also have multi-year commit. And then as part of that, customers have the different commercial options that really match to their workloads use cases. And so based on that, we can make it even more attractive for different customers to move their workloads to our cloud. Yeah. One other area that we're seeing a lot of customer interest in, Mark, is from our government and kind of federal customers. We've been able to actually deploy OCVS to all of our regions globally, as well as into our government regions. And we just recently achieved FedRAMP High certification, which is an important certification for federal government customers, but also a lot of state and local governments kind of key off of that. We're super excited about the opportunity to bring, the power of VMware and OCVS to our joint customers in, state, local, tribal, and federal government.
We're really excited about the fact that you're leveraging vSphere 7, which is our latest and greatest technology, into OCVS. And that opens up a whole set of new opportunities and capabilities for our joint customers. Because OCVS is based on vSphere at its core, it's easy for VMware and Oracle to enable the full set of VMware capabilities on top of that. So one of the things I'm excited about as well, we talked a lot about Tanzu, but I should also mention vRealize and sort of how VMware has obviously a very rich set of management capabilities with our vRealize suite of management tools, whether it's for automation and self-service IT, whether it's for optimization with vRealize operations, whether it's for understanding network topologies and dependencies to optimize your cloud migration with vRealize Network Insight. I could go on and on. It's a rich set of management capabilities. Bringing those all to be enabled on top of OCVS is an area of a joint investment that I know that we're both really excited about, and we're getting a lot of customer interest and demand for as well.
That's exactly the reason why that we just recently, launched vSphere 7.0 and the accompanying updates to HCX and NSX and vSAN. Without that, it's really hard to take advantage of all of the latest innovations that VMware is putting out.
So, with that, it's been great to have this discussion. It's been great working with you and your team. I personally look forward to continuing to invest and continue to expand the solution and deliver, more and more capabilities for our joint customers together.
Absolutely, it's been I think a great collaboration so far. It's been very nice to work with the VMware team, and I'm excited for continuing to solve our joint customer problems. Thanks for having me today, Mark.
Yeah, thank you.